Hello, everybody, and welcome to Virtual Field Trips. I am Bonnie Chalette. I'm going to give you all of my resources that I'm going to use today. This is my favorite presentation, so we're going to dive right in. I'm super excited. Thank you for coming. So you can find all of these resources at bit.ly/I love field trips. It will always live there. I do this presentation a lot. It's like my fave. So please, please, please check it out because everything is linked there. So I am going to share my entire screen. And so we can really play around with it because there are going to be a lot of links that I'm going to click, like I said, on this slide deck. This is what you need. So I'm going to share this. All right, so here we are. This slide has a special meaning to me. I did this presentation at the Innovator conference in Singapore, and this was my pitch slide, and it went really well, and I need to get over it, and I'm not. If you need me for anything, you can reach. I'm all over the place. I'm all over the internet. You can find me at Bonnie Chalette on Twitter. You can email me at bchalette@evr.schools.org or my website, techbond.com, where I kind of put a lot of these resources. I have all of the Google certifications and even more badges. I have all the badges, but these are my big ones. And so reach out to me if you have any questions about this or beyond. Like I said, so virtual field trips are my thing. It's my favorite one. And because they're very useful across distance learning and face-to-face. These are all going to be things you can do, like I said, whether you're face-to-face, whether you're hybrid, whether you're completely virtual, you'll be able to do all of these things. And I feel like we can do virtual field trips because this is that redefinition on the SAMR model. This is, some of these things you can't do without a computer. So this really takes virtual field trips, take that learning up a notch. They make it 3D. We can give our students a lot of experiences that they wouldn't necessarily have in the day-to-day. So first thing I'm going to talk about is Google Treks. A little bit about this slide deck. Like I said, tons of links embedded in. I'm going to talk about a few different Google tools you can use. The main tool is always linked up in the top left. And then I've got some little examples that I always use down here. See some big buttons that say click here. So discovering the world, each one of the tools I'm going to show you uses like a different aspect of Google. Google Treks uses Google Maps. Some of them use Google Earth, some of them, it's really, it varies, but Google Treks specifically with Google Maps. This is one of the coolest ones. I don't know where Petra shows up on the curriculum. I hope it shows up there for you so you can use this one. The Rose Red City, it's super old. It's got this super neat intro video. So even, and so it takes you there. You do have sound. I've got it off right now so it doesn't interfere with mine. But you can see you can literally go down the site. So I can just keep going. It's got information embedded in and all the way down to the monastery where students can really interact. You can see I'm clicking with my mouse. You can still do this with a mouse pad. Some students prefer a mouse. And I'm getting information. This is something the students could do on their own or in your classroom. Like if you wanted to do, that flipped kind of learning model, this is something to do it at home and come back and ask you questions. Super, super fascinating. Like I said, this is one of my favorite ones. And it's got all this information and just really ways for students to interact with the geography. You could see here, you could talk about landscape and geography. Tons of options out there. But I'm going to go back to my main Google Treks site. We're going to just discover a few other ones. Everest Base Camp, Nepal, is another really cool one. Now, it's built a little different. I'm going to scroll down with this one. I can explore it in Street View, and it's going to explain it to me, but it'll talk about what Street View is on there. So right here, I've got my Google Maps. And this is one of those things like 21st century, these kids are going to deal with Google Maps in their lifetime. So I can zoom it in. I can, talk about borders here. All this different kind of stuff. And it could even go full screen. You could pull this up in your classroom. You might not want the students to be able to control it themselves because sometimes they get a little click happy. Here's some interactive 360 images, videos, all kinds of cool stuff. And then, that's just all built into the virtual. So you're sharing this with one link and you're taking your students to multiple places. Try not to talk about this one too much. I just think it's really neat. I really like the one about the Amazon because I feel like it's included a lot in a lot of different curriculums. I know like in our 11th, you can use it. You talk about it in science. You can talk about it in geography. You can talk about it. So I thoroughly enjoy that one. Obviously, Taj Mahal, always like in our curriculum, they learn about in the 6th grade. Always a fan favorite. So you can basically just walk through the Taj Mahal. But I really like the way they included this map feature of it because, and so here it is. They're zooming in. They're showing you on Google Maps how to access it. This is a great use of Google Earth, because Google Earth sometimes can suck up your bandwidth. It is loading the whole Earth at once it's difficult. Last one I'm going to show you here is the Burj Khalifa. I actually used this one with a group of 3rd graders on an engineering class, and we talked about the Burj Khalifa, and everybody always thinks Dubai is so cool, because it's so pretty, all the fancy stuff over there. You can see it's got this infographic that really explains the building and even the design of it. So we did this and we went through this with the students, and then they had to build their own little towers, kind of using what they learned. It was really neat. So definitely not implications outside of social studies. I was a social studies teacher. It's easy for me to get sucked in, but there are implications outside of that. All right, so feel free to play around with this. I could, but we have more to go. And I could sit here and show you, these all day, but we have more options. So we're going to go down the road a little bit. Second is Google Arts and Culture. So I know we know about the death of Google Expeditions, RIP, and Tour Creator, which was one of my personal faves. But Google has moved a lot of those virtual field trips to Google Arts and Culture. Personally, I would expect a renaming soon enough because I don't feel like that name fits where they're going with it. That's just my personal opinion. But I've been saying for years it was an untapped resource. So apparently people realize that, and now they're funneling all kinds of stuff into it. First, you need to download the app because it's way different than the browser experience. You can take a self-portrait and it'll match you with a painting that's saved in their database. I felt like this one was a little nicer than the other one it matched me with. But the app has all kinds of things. There's even a widget for your phone that'll show you something cool every day. So definitely take time. And these are some older shortcuts. I need to put some new ones up because it's definitely updated a lot. All right, so let's jump in. Like I said, this one's a little different because these are thematic and I couldn't necessarily match it up to a map perfectly. And please let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the chat for me. So this is the main site, Google Arts and Culture. And I might need to change that link a little because I used to always send people to the themes. because that's like curated content. But now they've shifted around. You can see they got the app right here on the front because the app is fun. But you can see they've got all this content here. Oh, this is a fun one. So they've got all this content here. And this is just an example. I've never looked at this one. You can see I have an option to share it directly straight to my Google Classroom. I always like a good Google Classroom button. And I can even like favorite it, because sometimes, you know, we're all about the digital hoarding and we want to save stuff even though we don't need to. So you can see, like, and go through. It's got my information and this kind of interactive. Oh, this one's neat. My history, you know, right here we've got our primary source we could talk about. I don't know how many slides this is, but like right here, the National Archives has that photo analysis. You could use that. And all kinds of information here. That one's really neat. I'm a fan. I'm going to have to visit this one again. Oh, this one's super detailed. How neat is that? All right. But I'm going to go back to my main page. I need a home button. I need to tell them. So you can see right here, it's got tons of stuff to explore. This will change all the time. Which artwork looks like you. I wonder if I can do it on the brand. No, you have to do it on the app. They were nice to that lady. They've got a few games. If you haven't done the Blob Opera yet, they do have all these interactive experiences now that used to not exist. The Blob Opera is bananas. Play it with your kids. It is crazy that is exactly what it is. You have all this different bass. I'm talking right now, so it's not, but you just make all these sounds and you can share it out. It's pretty funny, just saying. You can even record yourself making these crazy operas. So oh, I muted myself. Can you hear me now?
No. It looks like you pushed something. There it is. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Got it. Okay. Thank you, Melinda, who's sitting at the table next to me. So Blob Opera, Vermeer. It's a little heavy on Vermeer. I don't 1,000% understand why. But what I do really like are, and you can see they've got all this stuff now, achievements and themes, and I really like the themes. I think for educational purposes, the themes are really curated things that you can use in your classroom repeatedly. So like I like History Month, this would be a great one. You can keep coming back to this. You know, you could put it in your Google Classroom. You can see it's photography, artifacts, historic figures, art, images. So it's not like a one-day thing to use in your classroom. And then from here, you can even go further. I can go to the Civil Rights Museum. I can go 10 locations, like I said, of Martin Luther King. Like, just you can keep going. Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Oh, that's so cool. Edmund Pettus Bridge. You can walk across, you know, you could talk about walking across the bridge. I mean, it's a, a neat, and they can just continue to walk. Like, you could do tons with that. I can totally see some teachers really taking that to the next level. Like I said, all this is in themes. I also like the American democracy one. Latino cultures, that's a good one. But I like the democracy. Here it is. Because it's another example of like multiple, like a source you could put in your Google Classroom, pin it, keep it there. Presidential pets. All my students ever have always loved stuff about the president car and all that stuff. First ladies. And then from here, I can go straight to Thomas Jefferson's house, George Washington's house, James Monroe's house, right from a click of a button. And I can go in. There we go. So you can talk about paint colors and all that neat stuff. How they got rich, anything like that. And even in further, so really dive into these themes and see like what resources. I know recently I had a ELA teacher and they were doing stuff about culture through food. And so we looked at all these different, they have quite a few of these, like one in Spain and Japan and all that good stuff. And it was really neat because the students used this in their work to discuss like how food plays, such a role and what a big part of culture it is. And look, this stuff, it develops, like even if this is something you looked at last year, this poll feature, like that's new. And I do this all the time. So dive in to, and it's totally a rabbit hole. You can get lost here. And it'll also take you to arts and culture experiments. This changes every day. It is crowdsourcing. And it's always some new game, some new, like the Blob Opera was introduced in experiments. So I can, like, this is a fireworks game, which would be super fun for the 4th of July. So I can put fireworks and, and record it. And there you go. Just all the fun. But they've got lots. So experiments, like I said, you can see me clicking the buttons and being like, oh, what is this? Play with music is a fun one. They've got a lot for all my music teachers out there. There's a lot of stuff. And I really, really hope that people can, now, once again, think about bandwidth when you do this kind of stuff. So this is me painting with music. And you can pick your different, like saxophone and your different instruments and stuff. Super cool stuff. I haven't seen this one yet. Blob Opera's here. There's a really good one about climate change impact filter. Here I am. I'm gonna get sucked in. They do have things too, like a puzzle party where you can share a puzzle and create, do it at a distance. So people around the world could do this puzzle with you, or people across the room. Fabricus is one. It's a newer one, maybe like a year old. You can learn about hieroglyphics, play with hieroglyphics, and assist in the translation. So 6 steps. It explains it what it is. It does describe them as ancient emojis, which I love and hate. So you trace them and you learn them, and you can do all that kind of stuff. It'll tell you how much you got it right. I'm not doing that well because I'm trying to go fast. But then you get to go here and really write them out. So it's pretty fun. And then I get to send coded messages. Now this changed a little bit. You used to be able to type all kinds of stuff. So now it matches with emojis. So like here is greetings to you. Here is thank you. And this is like, it translates what each emoji means. It's just kind of fun. I mean, like I said, I taught social studies, so this kind of stuff. I spent a lot of time coming up with like tablets and stuff, to get students to write this. So it's super fun. All right, could do experiments all day. I can't, but feel free to go down this rabbit hole. Here's one of Versailles, which is really neat. Melinda would totally like this one. Now it's embedded in, in other sites. So check it all out. Dive in. Have your students. Tell them to visit and jump right in. I'm back to arts and culture, though. We'll talk more about experiments actually later. It's even developed to where you can look up historical figures and it'll find all the primary sources attached to that person. Now, that being said, you can find under themes. You may have missed it. You may have not. A lot of the expeditions that we know and love were transferred here. I'm going to save this one because I need to use it later. It explains how it works. Now it's broken down by theme, which is pretty cool, by subject. So Kathmandu, and then you can go 3D into it. I've got a link I can share. A journey around the Great Barrier Reef. This was always a fan favorite. Oh, look at this one. This one has sound. Oh, that's fun. So this is a little different than, what we were used to. You still have that interaction, and then you have kind of break it up. Oh, this one's neat. This is really neat. Okay. I'm going to totally have to come back here. So yeah, I did this one with some smaller kids when we had expeditions, and they were like, oh my God. And then, it got here, and then we kept going, and they were so amazed. And then we got to the last one, and I know this because when they saw Santa, I know it's so funny because the class exploded. So check out all those expeditions. Said I've spent about 10 minutes talking about it, so I've got to go on, but definitely something to dive into. Oh, and like I said, Blob Opera, paint with music, with all this stuff. Even Google Arts and Culture has its own Giffy page, so you can find GIFs of your favorite arts, and they see me Technicolor, Technoroland, they hate, and you need a Vermeer GIF in your life, here's the place where you can get it. All right, moving on. Got to move on. Voyager. Voyager is super cool for lots and lots and lots of ways, but I think the number one thing I like about Voyager is they clearly worked with teachers to build these, and some vendors. Sometimes you will find a virtual field trip on Voyager that is exactly what your textbook is. So that's really cool to be able. Now, that being said, you can see it took a little while to run on my computer. Now I am running a few things, but if you have your students on a Chromebook and a live stream and pulling this up, it's not gonna go well. So try to think about using it wisely. If you do have a lab that's hardwired and you get to be face to face, use that. Or have the students do this on their own time, or turn off their cameras, or stuff like that. Just really think about that when you're using this, or have it on your own board, and have students engage with it that way. So you can see we've got lots of options here. I actually do a separate PD on how to create your own in Google Voyager. Don't have time for that today, but you can see it's based on Google Earth. So previously we talked about using Google Maps. So this one is Google Earth, and this is actually really interesting, like time lapse. It's like this is called a warming planet. It's going to go up to the ice. And it's going to explain it right here. I have this information. So it'll show me 1985. Like it's going to show me lifetime. Now you can see the mapping gets better, but you can see the ice shrinking back. And now it's all that part is all melted. So kind of sad. And you can share this with a link straight from here. Like I said, just be mindful of the bandwidth you're using. You know, you want to check this in advance and have a steady thing. Mars on Earth. I'm going to go ahead and hop right into the education tab because that's why we're here. The education tab's well made, and it's got something for everybody. Triangular structures. You can see this is made by, you know, at least partners with a media for math. All of this is free, by the way. I want to reiterate that. I'm not showing you anything that costs money. So talk right here. It's going to take you in. Students can still interact with that map. It's got my information here. And then I can go to the next one. It's going to zoom me all the way out. Tell me more information about the Eiffel Tower. Who doesn't love a good Eiffel Tower thing? I can zoom in. Look around. I can drop in and go into Street View and look like underneath. It's pretty nifty. So just a lot of cool stuff you can do there. And so castles, poetry around the world, Congress. I love these. Like the Lewis and Clark one, worked with PBS, really aligns with like some curriculum goals that I had. So I was really happy to be able, because in the end, like you can find all kinds of cute things, but in the end, you know, we need to be able to meet those curricular goals. Like I said, I do a separate PD about creating these, like in drawing these lines and how you can do your own. It takes a little longer. It takes a little longer. Now, one thing though that Google Voyager does have is they have a reboot of Carmen Sandiego. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. They have books.
Okay.
So right here, Carmen Sandiego, super fun if you're a yes, there are cave paintings, Miss Bailey pointed out on Giffy, which is crazy on Google Arts and Culture. But right here, it's super fun. You can do this with kids of any age. You can use the magnifying glass. You have to get clues. You have to figure out where the next person is. So it's going to take me into this city. Same thing if I want to, like I can do I'll have all the same features. So right here, we talked about the Bolshoi Theater earlier. We're going to go right to it now. I've got it. And generally the clues are about like money or a flag or language, like something, you know, like you would talk about in geography class. So right here, this ballerina is giving me a clue that doesn't help me as much. I'm going to go to the Kremlin. Could make all kinds of jokes here. I'm going to talk to a bureaucrat. She wanted to know the exchange rate for dollars. So I might look at my list here and see who uses dollars. And then last time I'm going to go to the park. Oh, there's my person. So Mount Victoria. So you got to think about, I know Mount Victoria is not in Mexico City, Cairo. It's in Wellington. So I get to zoom all the way out, go around the world. Look at that, how cool it is. It shows me a little map. And then I get to go through that again. And it's going to tell me if I was correct. So it is. So I am in the right place. So continue, and you get to do that until you catch her. It's super cute. Some of these are some of my faves. Take a wander into it. I also like they're starting to build out like little games, presidents, foods, all these cute little things. And you can even play with just like earth layers. Now, if you're interested, like I said, this is not a Google Earth, but I do want to show you some things you can do in Google Earth. You can do some nifty things with turning on animated clouds. So like in Louisiana where there are hurricanes all the time, when there's a hurricane, I'll be able to see it right here by turning on those clouds. If you are teaching latitude and longitude, you can turn that kind of thing on because I know students struggle with that. I wish they had time zones here because that is always really, really hard. So, all right. So moving on from Voyager, as much as I could hang out here all day, I'm going to go into my next one. And I'm going to go back to experiments, but I'm going to dive into places that aren't necessarily arts and culture, because there are some things outside of arts and culture here. There's a lot of AI. Like I said, there's a whole thing here, but there's more than that. There's Chrome experiments. There's and if you ever have a student that's super clever, they can build this stuff out and submit it here. They are moving a lot of it to arts and culture, but you could see they've got experiments for learning. Like here's one that takes, if you show it money on your phone, it'll put a woman there. Here's a really neat one for entering, like doing Mars. I'm going to skip this intro, but it does explain it. So these are all just places that you can, explore with your students. All very, very interactive things to look at. And so this one's going to show me like what Mars looks like. How nifty is that? This is 2021. So I've showed you, this is my actual favorite. It's called Semiconductor. And students can sit there and do like this and do their own little orchestra. So cute. It's so cute. They have to line themselves up with the camera, and I'm not going to make you go through that. But take it out at your own time or show your kid. This is a really neat one. It's somebody who went in and digitized all the buildings so that if something happens to them or they get to, decrepit and stuff. This one has a really good intro video. I have the sound turned off so it doesn't mess up here, but watch that. And then this one is nice because you can use arrows or the mouse, bringing in that UDL idea where accommodations help everybody. But yeah, I can zoom into these buildings, kind of like what we saw earlier with the Petra one. But I'll go in It's going to walk me around, take me in the building, and, you know, so I can see inside. Definitely work. Like I said, I every time I come here, here's my last favorite. Here's my last favorite, I swear. This is also great when you want to like entertain kids. So whatever I draw, it tries to figure it out. And it auto draws it for me. So if you're a bad drawer, it helps you out a little bit. That's just called auto draw. Okay, moving on. Those are all awesome things. Like I said, that I've also used this one. You can see you can use it to make regular stuff too, like something you might want to, you know, make your own invitation. So check out all of these super, super neat stuff. All right. And just realize that like every 360 video that you can find on the internet, because there's some on everything, make sure you watch it all the way through, but can even be entered into EdPuzzle. If you're not familiar with EdPuzzle, it's where you can embed questions. So say you're having them look at a video of the rainforest and interact with it, you can get them to reflect on what you want them to know. And that's kind of the next piece of this that we're going to talk about, is that assessment piece. You can see here is what it's really like to visit Rome. And that's kind of where we finish off here, is talking about how do you measure their learning when you're doing something like that, because they can get so click heavy, just clicking and, you know, and maybe not absorbing the way you want to. So right here, I have a link on this slide deck. I share it out all the time and I continue to add stuff to it, but it is just an assortment of projects you can use with your students to assess their learning. You know, if you want to, I mean, like I said, you could have them make movie posters for a place that they visit. And the template is there. I've had teachers do like medieval stuff, and then they got their students to make like trading cards, or, you know, like basically like Pokemon cards for their different, like the lords and the knights and stuff. Personal favorite are my social media templates right here. Instagram template. You could have students who do a bunch of stuff with it. You could have them put an image of a place they visited and make the caption. You could just put the picture and have them, you know, make the username or the captions. You can do all kinds of stuff with just something simple like that. You got tons of options. And you can just take all of these. I do ask that, like, don't request a copy, just make your own copy. They'll get like a billion emails, but you just make a copy. You can share this out in your Google Classroom. We've got tons of friends who use this, especially the magazines. We often ask our students to make slide decks, but this gives them a little more perspective on the slide deck. And you can take this, make a copy. All they do is change the pictures and write their own little articles, if you will, and then you can share it out. So think about when you're doing this fun stuff. It is very easy to just like want to do the fun stuff, but think about how you're going to assess their learning. What is your end game? What are they going to produce? Because that's that other part of the SAMR model, that redefinition that you want to do, is like that production. What kind of work are they doing other than being consumers? You want them to be producers as well. So that is all I have for today. Hopefully you found this great. Like I said, you can find all those resources that you saw here and more at bit.ly/ILoveFieldTrips. I may redo this altogether because of so many updates. If you come back, it looks completely different. Don't worry, still me. I'll wait around if there are any questions in the chat, and then I'll end this and we can. So let me know if you have any questions. I want to go back here. Right, Ms. Bailey, the goal and the product is important. It's really easy to get sucked into the fun, honestly, the fun stuff. But just the clicking and the, like I said, we want students not to just be consumers. We want them to be producers as well. So keep that in mind when you're finding these things. Keep your device, what kind of device you're using, your bandwidth in mind, all just good hints. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this recording, but reach out to me if you have any questions in the future, and hopefully I will talk to you